Good afternoon. This is Blu Laker in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And boy, have we got some news today, especially from last night when the protests in Berkeley, California have really upset the scene. Now, we don't really know all the details yet, but it's beginning to come to pass that we will find out exactly what took place and who is responsible for the civil unrest. Now, what we do know is that there were Trump supporters and anti-Trump supporters at the rally, and somehow or another they wound up in fisticuffs. Well, we can't tolerate that in this country. People are allowed by the First Amendment to speak their mind, but at the same time they are not allowed to create violence. And the Patriot Act tells you why. As a matter of fact, the Patriotic Act was put into existence to protect citizens of the United States. Now, we're all citizens, there's no question about that. And since I really don't know at this time who started this brawl, we can't really say whether it was Trump supporters or Trump anti-supporters. But what we can say is that we can't continue along that lines. Because, you see, we've already had a civil war, and if we're going to get into another civil war, it's not going to be the North against the South. It's going to be those who are in favor of Christianity and the Constitution against others who oppose that. Now let's get real. Why do we have to go to such extents to distract what President Trump is trying to put together? Why are the Democrats attacking? And what is the ultimate goal? What's their ultimate goal? To impeach him? Well, I think we've got a long ways to go before that can possibly happen, and I don't think it ever will happen. Because must remember that Donald Trump, the President of the United States, is the Commander-in-Chief of all of our military forces. And there are many things that can be done, and hopefully not necessary for them to do them. But we can't have this. We've got to be able to go forward, not backwards. We can't keep bringing up matters that are of insignificance. Who cares whether or not one of our leaders has talked to the Russians? Who cares? All we're interested in is how can we get along with them. So I'm going to talk about that for just a little bit. Most people don't understand what Russia is all about. Most people don't understand Vladimir Putin. But if they take the time to go on Wikipedia and find out that this is a man of very modest means, that he came up and lived in tenements and worked his way up and through the ranks, and is a very compassionate individual for what he's done for the Russian people and for the Russian society. Now, who is it for us to say what they should do to try to protect themselves, or to take back maybe territory that belonged to them in the first place? You know, that's a different matter. What we're looking at today is the cooperation of superpowers so that we can have peace and tranquility throughout the world. Now, as I see it, it's very simple. Russia's a superpower. The United States is a superpower. We have nuclear. They have nuclear. We have assets. They have assets. But to combine two superpowers together have the ability to have other countries come in and join in a program that's going to be beneficial to all countries. Beneficial to all countries. You know, people say, oh, well, you know, Russia has been our opponent. Hey, Russia has also been with us. They have fought with us. So we can't say that they're have always been or that they want to be. No, I don't think so. I think that what they want is peace and security as well, and it's going to take a combination of compromises and so forth to really bring it about. So today, if you'll take the time to go to Wikipedia and find out about Russia, about Vladimir Putin, you will come away with a different perspective on that. That's for sure. When you see that they think alike, that they react very quickly, they don't have to think too very hard about what's going on. They know what's going on. And we have seen tremendous progress since Trump has been in office. The delays are holding back American progress. We have to stop that. We have to get out and do the support that we need to help him along. You know, the Lord said that faith alone is dead. What he said was that faith without works is dead. So even though we may have faith in Donald Trump, that is not enough, because all of us, or many of us, voted for him. We wanted him in office because we wanted change. Now, are we saying today that we don't want change, that we want to go back to our old practices? No. We can't afford to go back to our old practices, and we can't afford someone who isn't going to take the country forward. Do we like everything that everyone says? Probably not. There are probably things that are out of place that maybe need to be changed, but we're willing to do that. You know, one of the big things that is on the agenda right now is insurance and Obamacare. And there's no doubt that they've made a commitment to remove Obamacare and replace it. What a lot of people don't understand is that there's already a program that could take the place of Obamacare, and it's called Cobra. Now, in 1985, Ronald Reagan put Cobra together. Cobra was designed to give people, voluntarily or involuntarily, that lost their jobs, the ability to have insurance while they were able to gain another insurance down the line. Well, it was a good program and it worked very well. Well, people say, well, it was very expensive. That may be so, but how expensive is Obamacare? If we could save billions of dollars by getting rid of Obamacare and using Cobra in the meantime until they come up with a program that is satisfactory and meets all the requirements that we need, then that's what we should do. Because now we can close down Obamacare, we can put them in Cobra, and when and where necessary, subsidize people who are not in a position to afford that care. This takes care of the Obamacare by replacing it. And in that replacement process, the ability to come up with a program that probably will exceed everyone's expectations. So when we talk about some of these programs that Donald has put into action over the very short period of time that he's been in, we can only anticipate that he's going to continue to do more of them. But he cannot be distracted by all of these liberals who would have it their way. Well, if they're going to have it their way, and if they want to create an insurrection, if they want to see another civil war, it's not going to be beneficial to the country. It's not going to be it's not going to be good for the advancement of this society. And we have to make these changes. We have to make these changes. We have about 20 million illegals in this country. 20 million illegals who, by and large, have come to the country through illegal means. It probably is more than that if we really did a case study on individuals who come in here over the last 20 years. Probably much more than that. The point is that we cannot support by subsidizing anyone who comes into this country. One of the mandates that has to be is that anyone coming into this country seeking citizenship has to have sustainability. They must be able to sustain themselves. They must go through other regulations. Our great-great-grandparents had to do it. Why not now? Are we to allow any country to come in here and take over the country without firing a shot? I don't think so. That's why millions and millions of Americans have died in the cause of freedom. Are you going to wash that under the table because it's the right thing to do? It's not the right thing to do. Sure, we're all humanitarians. We don't like to see anybody suffer. We try to help when we can. On the other hand, we have to take care of number one first. Number one is America and the Americans that are in it. They have to come before all else. And when it comes to spending our money, we can't be dictated and having to pay the fees for other people who are not entitled. It's no different than joining a country club. They have certain qualifications to let you in. We have certain qualifications to get a driver's license. You have to have insurance. You have to register the car. Oh, of course, you got to buy it. You can't steal it. So there's lots of opportunity in this country for those who come into this country legally. And we can't whitewash all of the people that have come here illegally. And I don't care where they came from. I don't care if they came from Indonesia or South America or India, you name it, Mexico. Well, we cannot allow ourselves to be inundated with any one particular country's exports, and we're talking about exporting their people into this country for the benefits that you and I have to provide. So where's it going to stop? It stops by showing your support for our president, Donald Trump. It starts by being able to come out of the woods, if you were, that we've been peaceful, we've tried to do things in a civil way, and we're running across opposition that is trying to impede the progress of the United States. And by the way, as I mentioned to you before, it's covered in the Patriot Act. And so I'm going to get more specific about that. Now, I don't have any information in front of me. This is all verbatim. But the point is that when they talk about the Patriot Act, they talk about domestic terrorist. And a domestic terrorist is anyone who instigates a civilian population to confront the government, period. What does that say? A civilian population. So when they talk about a civilian population, they're talking about legislatures or anyone else who tries to instigate a civilian population for the purposes of defeating the government. Pure and simple. So those people who are out there maybe are not aware that if this goes much further, that they may be guilty of domestic terrorism. Sounds harsh? Hey, I didn't make the law. Read the Patriot Act yourself. See what it says. Know your responsibility to this government. Know your responsibility to America, your responsibility to God, and be able to answer to both of them. Now, we know that the Vice President has already committed himself a long, long time ago, before he even became Vice President. He basically said, it's my religion and my country first. So, we better start thinking about the consequences of inaction, because inaction will cause reaction and will put us on the defensive rather than the offensive. That's what the Democrats, that's what the liberals want. They want to try to destroy, distort, to pick up anything they can in order to get the press to instigate the public. Now, if any of you think that's wrong or incorrect, hey, you can call at 949-467-613. This is Blu Laker, and I'm with the Tribune radio station. What we want is to get participation from all of those people who support the Constitution, the United States, and the President of America. Do that, and we are on our way to a successful 4 years and its complete change in the political system. Too hard to believe? It's not too hard to believe. Look, Donald Trump has already done mission impossible. When he first jumped into the race, people were saying, no way, there's no way that he's ever going to be able to garner enough support to become the primary and win the right to represent the Republican Party. Well, that by itself proved that he has the capacity to get things done and has worked to that end. The second thing, after winning the primary, then he went on, of course, to win the race. And all the odds were against him. If there was ever an impossible task, the impossible task was what he had done and what he was able to achieve. Now, you can deny everything. You can say he's this, he's that, he's foul, whatever. It doesn't make any difference. He's getting the job done. And it's just like if you're working with your brother and sister and you have arguments between your brother and your sister, that doesn't mean that you don't like them or hate them or whatever. As long as they're doing what's favorable for you and your family, you're taking care of the kids and all those things, responsibilities, educating them, all of those. As long as they're doing those things, you need to leave them alone and let them continue along those lines. I know that even with my son, I thought that I was a very good father until my son became a father. And now I see someone who has acted not only as well, but better than me. And I've come to appreciate him for doing just exactly that. I was lucky because my family didn't have to grow up with drugs and alcohol problems, have gotten good educations and had businesses and are able to support their family in a decent way. We can all do that. It takes effort, and we have to allow those people that have the ability and the responsibility to this nation to continue to do their work, and we need to help them. Again, I will repeat what the Lord said. Faith alone is not good enough. Faith alone is dead. Show me a man with faith and no work, and I'll show you a man who is dead. Are you taking the responsibility that you need for your part in making America strong again? You can only ask yourself that question. And, of course, you can always debate it with me. I'm Blu Laker. And I'm not only a Christian, I am an American and have been since the day I was born. And I have always stood in favor of the American spirit. A lot of times we disagree with government. A lot of times we disagree with government. We don't like the special interest. We don't like corrupt politicians. We don't like dictatorship. What we want is what we're supposed to have, a republic. A republic that is for the people, by the people. What's wrong with that? It's what our grandfathers toiled with, our great-great-grandfathers toiled with. They spent who knows how much time putting together the greatest constitution in the world. And are we going to allow it to fall simply because we have a few, well, if you don't want to call it a few, protesters who are anti-establishment, not just well, they are the establishment, and they don't want someone who is anti-establishment taking over and controlling the United States. Well, we have 535 representatives in Congress, and those 535 members of Congress are not all on the same page. They need to be at least willing to talk, open-minded, to make the best policies possible for the United States. We need to get rid of the special interests, the lobbyists. We need to put America on a straight path, one that will inspire the youth of our nation and allow us to succeed by education and by winning over other countries so that we can become the light on the hill. Let our light shine upon others so that they may see the good that we do. And then they will copy what we've done. So today, although this program has really not had a general theme, it at least allows us to see what the possibilities are, and that we can concentrate and bring in people who either are in agreement or disagree with the policies that we prescribe. Do we want really to allow ourselves to fall backwards? Do we want our deficit to continue, or do we want to make changes that'll take that deficit away and take the responsibility of that debt away from our grandchildren and the future? Yes, we need to. We have to, and we cannot be just talking about it. We have to take the proper action, and whatever action that is, it has to be followed through to its conclusion. We can't do things halfway. We can't put a patch on it or a Band-Aid, because the Band-Aid will come off. And when the Band-Aid comes off, we're going to feel the pain and anguish of allowing it to get to that. Is it too late now? People say, well, how are you going to deport 20 million people? You know what? I don't have the answer to that. Are they all going to be deported? Probably not. But if you had, let's use the hypothetical here. If you had $1 for every person that's illegal in this country, every day, that would be $20 million a day that we are not having to spend. That means that we would then have $20 million a day that we could put into other resources or programs that would propel us forward in education and the like. So people need to stop and think and be rational about what's going on, and not be so hated or hatred towards an American president. How? Why? My God, give the man a chance. He's the only one that has stepped up to the plate. He's the only one that we felt comfortable in electing, and he was the only one that most of us prayed for to bring into office. Again, this is Blu Laker, and if you would like to comment, you can reach me at 949-467-6013. We will be inviting guests from both sides to come in and listen to or participate in the program. So don't be afraid to step up. I mean, after all, this is just a radio program. And so for today, this is Blu Laker at Cobra Radio and the Tribune radio station in Las Vegas, Nevada. Godspeed.